Here's a fitness fact. Working out harder is not always better. In fact, sometimes it's the worst possible thing you can do, contrary to what you might read or see on social media. Working out harder, not always the answer. You know, I'm bringing this up because, have you guys seen that Brazilian trainer, that female trainer? I think her name is Carol Vaz, I think, right? And she like makes her clients cry and scream. And
I think I've heard you talk about her, but I don't know if I've seen her.
Doug, bring a video of her up. It's so if you're a trainer and you've trained people for more than a month, you actually work with people.
Yeah,
watching a video like this is like nails on a chalkboard because it.
Is it like watching Biggest Loser?
Yeah, I was gonna say this used to be Julian Michaels' title, right? The America's Toughest Trainer.
It's worse than Biggest Loser because I think when you watch Biggest Loser, you think there's an entertainment aspect. This is like, yeah, this is serious. This is what you need to do when you train and you work out. It's terrible.
The world's most hardcore. That's a terrible title.
Oh no, these are her clients. Literally are crying. Look at this. They're crying, and she's doing like, I don't know, 15 forced reps with the exercises, and you know, make matters worse, she
looks like they're in labor.
She represents these female fitness, I guess, celebrities or whatever that look pretty good. Wow. So I guess you would watch it and say, "Oh my God, the results, you know, speak for themselves." But
yeah, she's literally crying through that entire set.
It's terrible. Yeah, what people need to realize is intensity is it's a factor in workout programming. And like any factor, there's a right dose. And too much only is going to make you get slower results, less results, hurt yourself. You're not going to progress any better if you train beyond the appropriate level for your body of intensity. That's the important thing.
You know why I think it's always hard to communicate this one, because I think there's like two ends of the spectrum of the clientele. It's like you have this clientele that is so adverse to exercise or doing any sort of movement, and so teaching them to learn to push through and to challenge themselves and go harder than they're used to going has some merit. But then you have the other end of the spectrum of people that enjoy working out, and the truth is the people that gravitate towards a trainer like this are the ones that don't need it, and the ones that are like, hell no, I don't want.
That's what always happens. Yeah,
hell no, I don't want nothing to do with this trainer. Would probably benefit the most from the mentality standpoint.
Yeah,
right?
well,
Nobody should probably train like that. It's a very the risk versus reward, the amount of stress that you're applying to the body is unnecessary to get it to change the way you want to. Like, so I just. But I mean, people see it and they get motivated. It's feeding into the whole motivation hype.
Yeah, and there's more to the unnecessary aspect of it, because some people may say, okay, it's unnecessary, but okay, what's the harm then if I just work out hard? Well, it's not just unnecessary. It actually will move you away from your goals. It'll make the results happen slower or not at all, is actually what ends up happening when you use the inappropriate level of intensity. Because when you watch videos like this, if you're the average person, let's say you just got motivated, you want to start working out, right? So you see these videos. One of two things is going to happen. Either one, you're like, okay, this is not for me. There's no way. I don't want to do that. I don't want to cry. Like, this is crazy. Like, this is not for me. Or you're in that state of motivation and you're like, this is what I need to do if I want to get in shape. So then you go to the gym and you beat the crap out of yourself and you get terrible results, or worse, you hurt yourself and you're like, oh, okay, well, I guess this isn't for me.
Yeah, even if you get results, it's a very brief window when you're ramping the intensity up to that level. And in terms of like you going over the threshold of your body being able to adapt, it's very much more likely that you're just going to be healing at that point from the damage you caused because you went so extreme.
Well, it's like an ultra marathon runner racing against the fastest sprinter in the world. And the fastest sprinter in the world, even though the fastest sprinter in the world is most likely not going to win that ultra marathon race against the ultra marathon runner. And that's why I think it's deceiving, is because you see these people come out the gates. You train that hard and the results come on much faster than the ultra marathon runner that probably takes off on a nice little pace, and the sprinter takes off and I was like, oh my God, he's going to crush him. It's like, no, wait about 15 miles and we'll see where everybody is at. And then ultimately you'll see the ultramarathon passer, right? So I think the same thing goes with this, is that it's deceiving because you see the results come out the gates. You come out the gates and the scale goes down fast and you feel the body tightening up really quick. And so you think that, this is the way I want to continue to pursue
I think that mainly happens with people who are already fit. You take the average person and you train them with that level of intensity, they're not going to see results. They're going to be either hurt or in bed or nothing. They're not going to get any results.
Well, I mean, okay, yeah.
You take a fit person and you throw the occasional super intense workout.
You do that, right? This trainer is on the far end of the spectrum, But I mean, there's trainers that are training not near that intensity, but still training way too intense for a new beginner. Sure. And that new beginner ultimately is going to see results. They weren't moving, they were eating poorly, and now they get a trainer who decides they're going to kick their ass. Yeah. And so, the first couple of weeks they see good results.
And you know what? It's not even an opinion. There's been a lot of studies done on this, so it's not just our opinion and our experience. There's a lot of data on this. Lots of studies that show what level of intensity is most effective, like lifting to failure versus not lifting to failure, volume, frequency, rep ranges. There's lots of studies done on this. And the studies are pretty conclusive that these super high levels of intensity are not just unnecessary, but in a very short period of time, overwhelm the body's ability to adapt.
Yep.
So you actually get worse results. So like what she's doing these videos with this particular, and it's going viral. It's gone viral a couple of times. I've seen her before in the past. When you watch that level of intensity, she's not just going to failure. She's going to failure. She's doing partial reps, forced reps, negative. Like she's throwing everything but the kitchen sink at these people. And so you watch this and you're like, oh, is that what I need to do?
Yeah.
Do you think
it's very damaging?
Do you guys think it's getting worse or better in our space?
You know what's funny? I'm so glad you asked that question because I think if you go on social media, it's a bit distorted in terms of what's happening. So I now work out at a regular commercial gym. I started going back. So now I'm in like the regular population. So it's not like a super hardcore gym. It's just a gym where people work out. And I'm seeing a lot of good stuff. Like I'm seeing people do really good technique and form with barbell exercises, full ranges of motion, appropriate levels of intensity, rest periods that look good. So based off that, I think it's a lot better than it was before. But if I look at social media, it's like, man, I get discouraged.
Do you agree, Justin?
really fast.
I'm trying to think about that because remember Brittany, I forget her last name.
Yeah.
But yeah, she got in trouble for promoting all these programs and then not like following through with all these customers and whatnot. And so I'm wondering if a little bit of that was a deterrent for some of these influencers to actually, have like a solid way of being able to coach a lot of these people that they're promoting these programs and stuff to, or if that is still like a formula that is being used a lot. I just don't follow a lot of these types of characters anymore. But I did see that like Shreds is coming back with
what?
Yeah. I disagree with Sal. I think that it's getting worse. I think what you're experiencing is so maybe gym trainers have evolved, but I definitely think there's a case for that. There's more education. I mean, imagine. I just can't imagine 20 years ago trying to learn today would have been so much nicer, right? So like we had to go buy national certifications or find a mentorship where, man, you could follow some really intelligent people on YouTube and podcasting and you could get a lot of good information. So I think the trainer has more education at their tips of their fingers than they did before. But I think we have this new anomaly that we didn't have 20 years ago, which is a massive market centered around digital online trainers. Mm-hmm. And because there's so many people training online, and one of the best ways to garner attention in this space, is TikTok, is Reels, is to get people to click on you and view you. And because of that, unfortunately, I think it is far worse today than it was just 20 years ago.
I think you're right because TikTok has really taken over a lot of the views and it's almost like it's degraded whatever we saw previous to that from Instagram with the information. I feel like it's even worse in that format.
It's tough because if I think about it and I try to look at data, because it's hard because social media sometimes appears distorted. So you get in the fitness space and social media doesn't necessarily represent what's happening. It's like the fitness space has always been a bit dysfunctional, right? It's always kind of been that way. I mean, before it was magazines, now it's social media. But when you look at the data, eating disorders, body image issues definitely is on the rise. It's on the rise with young kids, especially girls, but boys now, young men now are suffering. So, and they think that has to do with social media. But I will say, again, in the gyms, I'm seeing things in the gym that I never, and these are like people in their 40s, 50s, like regular people, like I never would have seen before, doing pretty good technique and
I think
working out right. But that's again just the one gym I'm going to.
Well, not to mention, I think that speaks to the point I made, which is, it's the consumer is smarter today. We have access to, I mean, you can now get online and Google some really solid information around exercise training. And so I just think that there's way more information that's readily available for the either average client or person or even the trainer who's working in the gym. I just think, unfortunately, that does not outweigh the flood of online trainers now, and even more importantly, online trainers that have, garnered the attention of millions of people, and I mean, even take that as an example. Like I can think of 10 of our smartest fitness friends, right? That we would consider buddies or friends of ours. And they, many of them don't even have 1 million followers, but yet, like, I'm sure this girl probably has millions of people that are following. So that one person is getting more attention.
Dwarfs all the good information.
All the good friends of ours that we know that, maybe have 100,000 followers.
We're in a losing battle.
It is.
Still.
It's
tough. It's tough to decide. Sometimes I feel like that. Sometimes I feel hopeful. You know, what's interesting about this is, if you look at any success, because here's what happens to the average person. They see somebody who looks really fit, or an athlete that is very successful, or somebody who did very well in business. And we can identify with the hard workout or the hard, thing that they had to do. So like, I'm watching this trainer train these people so hard, and I'm like, that's the key to the success. That's the hard part. It's actually not. It's the consistency over years and years and years and years. It's like the business person that succeeds with a business. It's not that they worked one 20-hour day and grinded their ass off. It's that they were consistent year in, year out, year in, year out. So it is true that success in any realm, especially fitness, is challenging and hard. But the challenging and hard part is not the intensity of the workout. If you really look at the whole picture, the intensity of the workout is way down the scale. Really, the hard part is the consistency.
For sure.
Have you been doing this week in, week out, year after year after year? So when we watch videos like that, when people watch that, they think that's why they're successful. These women look amazing because this woman is training them, making them cry. No, that woman's worked out for 10 years consistently. That played a larger role in her success than this workout you see on Instagram that looks like it's killing her.
I mean, one of the biggest things that ever helped me with overcoming that or figuring that out for myself was being okay with doing a workout that would be considered really subpar, and I think many people would think almost a waste of time. You're not burning hardly any, like one exercise. I now, that's kind of the game that I play with myself because I'm sure you guys are the same way.
Yep.
There's many times I'm not motivated. I don't want to get it. I don't feel like getting it done, or I don't have a lot of time. All the excuses are there, right? And I'm like, I'm pretty fit. I could get away with missing this workout. And then I go, you know what? Like, fine. Don't do your full workout. Just go do 3 sets. Or if I make a deal with myself to do like the best bare minimum. And I'm like, okay, that's like nothing. That's a joke. And many times what ends up happening is it ends up turning into a great workout. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it ends up being 3 or 5 sets. But those 3 to 5 sets and making that decision, such a better choice than to just ignore it completely. And and what I noticed more than anything else is it's less about the 5 sets and the workout. It's more about the consistency and the behaviors that I'm building by being okay with, okay, I'm just gonna at least go do this. I think if people would switch that mindset, and I know I can't be alone, right? I have just as much information, I think, as the average
You're
consumer.
not going to have the best workout ever every time. That's impossible.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
it's unrealistic.
It's physiologically and physically impossible. You're going to have some workouts that are great, some workouts that are not so great, but it's the consistency is the hard part. So if you look at someone that's very successful in that, it's because they were consistent. It's not necessarily because they work out so hard that they almost throw up or they're sore for 5 days.
Yeah, here's another sort of terrible analogy, but I look at it more as like appetizer. Like I do the same thing, but I'll do like, 5 to 10 minutes of something. It's just, I have to establish that for the day. I'm so much more likely to get a good workout in following that. If I don't do that, then my body's just more likely to just, okay, I'm just going to sit down and ride it out.
That's the other thing that I found with it is that, even if the workout itself, because let's be honest, okay, 3 sets of bench press is not going to change your physique that much. But aside, not only does it help with just keeping the consistency, not only does it sometimes turn into a bigger workout, but then it also changes my mindset the rest of the day because I did something in a positive direction that way, right? So now when I had this choice where I was like, oh, I could have this for dinner or that for dinner, and one of them being a much better choice for my body than the other one, I'm more likely to make the better choice because I also made a better choice with me exercising, right? So I find that there's so much more benefit than I think I ever realized to just accepting that I'm going to go in and do a few things, even if it's not super intense, even if it's not major, just getting a few exercises in.
You know, when they do polls on people who've been doing this for a long time, so people who've been working out consistently, for like 10 years, and they ask them why, like, what is it that makes you do it? It's not makes me look buffed, makes me look ripped. I'm strong or whatever. It's always mental, psychological.
Right.
I feel
Gets
good.
my head right.
That's why I do it now. I don't do it for the other reasons. The other reasons are great. I'm not going to say I don't like them, but now it's really for the mental aspect of it. So I don't miss it, even if I don't feel physically like this morning. I didn't feel like working out at all. I had a rough night last night. I woke up, I was groggy, so I went to the gym and I went super easy. But why? Because it sets my mind straight. If I didn't do it and I came to work without doing it, it would have been much worse.